Our philosophy is supported by our AEP corporate values. Being a good corporate citizen and an environmental steward by doing the right thing every time. As stewards, we are committed to protecting the environment and maintaining full compliance with environmental regulations by making an extra effort to avoid adversely impacting natural resources as we plan and execute our projects. You play a critical role in AEP Transmission's environmental stewardship, and our expectation is you will meet and exceed AEP's values as you practice AEP's environmental health and safety philosophy.
Meeting our goals of environmental protection, full compliance, and zero environment enforcement actions requires working as a team. Together, we can ensure an ongoing commitment to our values and philosophy. Not meeting our environmental stewardship commitments can result in environmental harm, strained relationships with government agencies, denial of approval to continue work on a project, and even civil or criminal penalties. Our expectations of you, an AEP contractor, are: know the laws and how they may affect the work at hand. Read and understand AEP's Contractor Environmental Requirements document. Understand when project-specific permit requirements may be more stringent than those stated in the document. Immediately report to AEP any spills, environmental agency inspections, or non-compliance situations. Be alert to project field changes that may impact environmental protection, and stop work and question any activity that may result in non-compliance.
AEP's Contractor Environmental Requirements document gives you a baseline for environmental requirements. As a contractor, you and the AEP representative or environmental coordinator must review the environmental requirements for every project as part of the construction kickoff meeting. All project-specific environmental permits, plans, and sensitive environmental areas that must be protected or avoided must also be reviewed. Before beginning a project, you must have environmental training provided by your employer to qualify for the work you will be performing. New workers on a project also must be trained. The training focus should be on your expected duties, especially those activities that could create environmental risk. This training should include topics such as stormwater pollution prevention awareness, spill prevention and spill response, dust emissions and control awareness, solid and hazardous waste management awareness, excavation and soil management, wetland and stream awareness and protection, cultural resource protection, protected species awareness, and requirements. Periodic refresher training may be required. Chemicals or substances on site, if spilled or released, may cause harm to the environment. Before starting work, the contractor must have an emergency action plan to respond to a spill situation. An emergency responder should be designated and prepared for various spill situations. The responder is responsible for reporting any spill or release immediately to the TCR or other designated AEP representative, and immediately notifying the AEP Environmental Coordinator. In the event of an emergency environmental situation, trained or qualified workers must be able to do the following: attempt to safely stop the release or spill, contain it before it reaches a drain or waterway, identify the material, report the spill to the appropriate contact as discussed earlier. If an incident is reportable, AEP will notify the proper governmental entities unless the contractor is informed otherwise. The contractor must submit a completed AEP spill report and debris management form. Event documentation must be provided no later than the following day. Some sites will require a formal spill prevention control and countermeasure plan. For example, if more than 1,320 gallons of fuel or oil is on site, a spill plan is required. In such cases, your spill plan will need to address all regulatory requirements. Stormwater discharge permits are required before work begins when more than 1 acre of ground will be disturbed. Some jurisdictions require these permits for less than 1 acre of ground disturbance. Examples of disturbance include soil grading, drilling, excavation, tree stump or root removal, access road construction, stockpiling, spreading of spoils, and other activities resulting in a disruption of the soil. Stormwater permits usually require development of a stormwater pollution prevention plan or erosion and sediment control plan. The plan requirements include placement of erosion and sediment controls before upslope soil disturbance begins. Controls be maintained or supplemented to keep them in good working order. Proper use of designated concrete and truck washout areas. In AEP's western states, photo documentation of vegetative coverage should be collected before disturbance activities. This allows AEP to confirm final stabilization needs for the project. Conduct regular inspections of erosion and sediment controls. The stormwater plans must be updated to reflect any field changes to controls or plans. Changes, such as increasing the area of ground disturbance or changes in types of controls, must be communicated and approved by AEP Environmental Services. Some changes require permit modification before they are allowed. The stormwater plan and inspection records must be available at all times. Full compliance with the stormwater plan is required until the project has achieved final stabilization and permit coverage is terminated. As you work on a project site, make every effort to minimize new ground disturbance. Limit vehicle access to designated access roads and stabilize them as necessary to keep them functional. If the contractor provides temporary restroom facilities, the contractor is responsible for obtaining all required permits prior to having systems on site. All requirements set forth in the permit and applicable regulations are the responsibility of the contractor. All records for sewage pumping and removal shall be maintained on site. The contractor is responsible for the proper management of recyclables and waste disposal, such as construction and spill debris, including soil, gravel, concrete, and hydrovac slurry. AEP's Region Environmental Coordinator must be consulted before disposing of any potentially hazardous waste or known hazardous waste, such as used oil products, electrical equipment, asbestos, PCB, or lead. Dust from our project sites must be controlled by using only designated stabilized construction entrances and exits. This limits tracking soil on roadways that can lead to dust emissions. Some states and localities also require the use of water or other dust suppressant to minimize dust emissions from active areas of the project site. If our project involves the use of rock crushing equipment, the contractor is responsible to obtain all necessary permits. It is also important to understand that open burning is not allowed on our projects unless written permission is received by AEP and government agencies have issued necessary permits. It is critical to pay special attention to any wetlands or streams near our work sites. This includes water features such as bogs, creeks, rivers, ponds, and lakes. Another protected resource is the sand dune area in Michigan. Sensitive areas may only be entered or crossed if AEP Environmental Services has studied the impact and all required permits are obtained. Environmentally sensitive areas must be clearly identified and marked in the field. This includes not only wetlands, but known archaeological or cultural resource sites as well. Then all field personnel must be instructed to avoid disturbing these unpermitted areas. Working in a regulated area without the proper permit or permission can result in harm to the environment and substantial fines. Unauthorized activities include driving through a stream or wetland, disturbing the area by digging, placing spoils or other materials, or installing culverts or other structures in a wetland or stream, clearing trees in a wetland or next to a stream, and making a field change to previously approved plans without environmental's approval. Contractors must be familiar with protected area requirements and have workers comply with protection measures. An example, if mats have been installed to provide project access to protected wetlands or other sensitive areas, you must stay on the mats. Driving off the mats or pushing materials from the mats may result in environmental harm and violations. Unexpected prehistoric or historic artifacts can be found on a work site, such as arrowheads, pottery shards, bones from a grave, jewelry, historic structures, or other cultural resources. If discovered, we must protect these culturally sensitive areas by stopping work immediately to avoid additional disturbance, contacting the TCR and AEP Environmental Coordinator immediately, and clearly marking or setting barriers to protect the area as directed by the AEP Coordinator. AEP reviews a project site for potential protected species, rare, threatened, or endangered, before construction begins. AEP will inform the contractor of known protected species on a project, and the contractor must inform their workers of necessary precautions and requirements. If you observe a protected species or its dwelling, immediately notify the TCR and AEP Environmental Coordinator so protective measures can be taken to comply with all federal, state, or local regulations. AEP also has an avian protection plan to protect native North American birds and their habitats, whether endangered or not. The Avian Protection Plan has requirements for nests of protected birds, as well as reporting and other requirements if dead birds are found. The AEP Environmental Coordinator must be contacted before moving nests or bodies of protected birds. AEP Transmission is committed to environmental protection in all aspects of our work. The expectation of you as an AEP contractor is that you will join us in our commitment to environmental stewardship and protection. Remember, this includes pollution prevention, proper waste management, protection of the physical environment, including protected areas such as wetlands or cultural resources, adherence to all environmental permits, plans, and requirements, and protection of any rare, threatened, or endangered species, as well as all birds native to North America. Together, we can achieve AEP's corporate values and adhere to our environmental, safety, and health philosophy.
Ah!